the city adopted through our ordinances, our zoning setbacks. So you have the whole, you know, your lots or whether it's one, but from the property line, you have to, we require so many feet from that property line. And it's to protect public health, safety, fire, when you have these buildings. That's what those setbacks are for. One, so that there are no, the rear, so that they don't build anything on our alleyways or where we have utilities that may be running through there, we require those setbacks. The sides is also so that you don't build too close to your neighbor. Should there be a fire, you have that protection. And that's why we have setbacks. And it's part of the zoning statute, the state statute. Is it 211 or 212? I always get the subdivision and zoning.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 11.
It's the 11, right?
I'm not.
So it's under statute that we are required to have zoning restrictions or regulations.
Now, then, council, you as a council, keep in mind that you as a council can change setbacks. You can change setbacks. Right now, what Ms. Moran's conveying to you is that this is what those setbacks are. Now, as you start, are we starting to move talking about changing zoning ordinances or zoning regulations? If you wanna see smaller side yards, smaller, then those are things that we have to look at. But again, that affects not just this property, but it affects every other property in how you zone things and how you set your regulation as it relates to setbacks and plenty of other things, but setbacks are important. Ideally, when people, when you look at setbacks, you're like, well, as a city, do you want to see big yards? Do you want to see small yards? If you go back to some communities, you'll see that they have small little yards, right? And so the idea behind, part of the idea behind setbacks is, do you want to see that? Do you want to see something where maybe homes are smaller and closer together, lots, and so you have smaller setbacks? Because there are those things that you could consider. But I think historically for Pearsall, they wanted to see bigger yards, bigger front, backyards, side yards, and that's the other reason that you see some of these shifts to regulation. Again, smaller lots, smaller. There are some shifts in other communities.
And you'll see an example of one that's going to be coming up, and you'll see why we require those setbacks. But on this one, again, you'll see in the orange, there's that existing slab there. That's where they want to put the storage building, and they are asking, we require, see that property line, we require it to be at least 15 on the sides, and they're proposing and asking for a variance of 10 for that one. And then from the back, where the alley is, we require 25 to come in, 25, and well, that's an existing slab, so they've only got a 5 foot, so that's why they're asking for the variance for that. And the carport, they kind of wanted to align them both to be, because they're being used to store lawnmower equipment and what have you. So on that one, they're also asking for a 5 foot variance from the back setback, and then the 15 on the side.
Council, do you have any other questions?
I do want to point out that we did send out, I have to put that on the record, that staff submitted 10 notification letters within that 200-foot notice requirement, and we received 4 favorable responses and no negative opposition. Planning and zoning is recommending that City Council consider granting the variance as stated, with the set conditions that we put down, that they have to come by and meet the requirements for all building permits. Any relocation permits, any electrical, plumbing that will be done, those are part of the conditions that will be made part of this record.
Council? Having no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 9D, discuss and consider an act on ordinance number 20240403, land use variance special conditions permit Luis and Erlinda Lugo to allow a 15 by 30 extension of existing 30 by 30 carport on property located at 815 South Walnut. This is an action item. I'm going to ask for a motion and a second. Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez, a second by Councilwoman A. Garza. Yolanda?
So, Mayor, council members, you have before you a request by Luis and Erlinda Lugo. This is a case that came to us as part of an enforcement. They they extended an existing carport. If we go to the pictures, or the site plan, you'll see the existing carport is at 30 by 30, and they added the 15 by 30. Our front setback requires that you be 25 feet from the front. Obviously, they do not meet that, so they're asking for a 19-foot variance. And you'll see in the photo, that's the lot there, and then there is a photo. So you'll see where it almost reaches out to, there was no building permit that was pulled, and as a result, they were non-compliance on the setbacks. We did send out notice letters. We received 3 favorable responses and no negatives. P&Z is recommending approval of a 19-foot variance.
So did they get fined or anything for not having a permit?
We currently do not have an ordinance, and we will be bringing, where we can double fine them for the permit. They have to come and pull the permit, which they did.
Okay.
We did file an enforcement letter, and as a result, they came to pull the permit. We made several attempts before we issued the letter to notify them. What happened was our building code enforcement officer was out riding around doing his routine, and found that there were some contractors out there. They had just finished up, and it was close to the weekend, so they left. So we attempted to reach the Lugos several times, just physically trying to address this with them. So finally we had to send the enforcement letter. They responded by coming in to pull the permit. However, currently we don't have an ordinance. We need to amend the ordinance regarding permit fees where we can actually double fee them for those that don't pull these permits. Currently we can't, because we don't have that ordinance in place where we can do that.
So if we're not able to find them, how are they out of compliance?
I'm sorry, I can't.
If we're not able to find them for being out of compliance, how are they out of compliance?
Because it is compliant that you have to have a permit.
Yeah, so they-
But we can't find them.
Yeah, we can't double charge them, so if the permit fee is $150, we would charge them double that fee. We would double that fee, but we don't have that in our ordinance yet. We will have that this coming budget cycle. We will put that in there so we can, for those that don't pull permits and then they come, we will be able to charge them double for that permit. Now, if someone is issued a citation and they're fined and they continue to be non-compliant, where they don't come and pull permits, it's $500 a day for every day that violation is not corrected.
And how many times did you try reaching out to
The Lugos,
the Lugos?
that is how I can get that answer, but I can guess that I know that Richard sent several, he knocked on the doors. We sent them letters letting them know, hey, we're trying to reach you all. They did say they had been ill and had not been able to come to the door. And so finally, when the notice was sent out, they did come in and they complied right away and pulled the permit for this. The thing is, you do have now a carport. There are other options. I mean, you can ask them to remove it. You can grant, you don't, I mean, I don't know what else we could do. I mean,
Yeah.
a variance, it's already pretty much done.
I think looking at part of what Ms. Moran is alluding to, there is discretion as it relates to issuing citations or stuff like this. And so what you can do as a council is you can deny the request, then we'd have to get to where we start talking about removal of, but that's gonna be a process, to get that through, but I think you could go back, you could not issue if you ever wanna do this, then you have to go back and you potentially issue a citation, some sort of corrective measure. The problem is, it's to Ms. Moran's point, it's already been done, so it's kind of like they're asking for forgiveness after they've done something, right? So it makes it really hard for us and for you guys to say, yeah, give them permission, although they've already given themselves permission, so to speak, to do these things. So it's not a perfect situation, it really isn't.
Once they hear about this, they're gonna start saying, oh, well, they did it. I did it too.
Yeah.
And we-
I mean, it-
How long have they been how long have they been working on this project?
We don't know because again, they didn't pull a permit at that time. And
Was
the
the
way we
citation
found.
issued, we don't know if a citation was issued?
No, we had not issued any citations. Usually we do a notice violation letter,
Part of what I assume happened here is this was done in the, probably weekends, after hours, I don't know that to be a fact, but my assumption is that's probably when some of this work was happening.
yes.
So it's been brought to my attention that Mr. Lugo used to be in code compliance.
That's right.
So we should know.
Oh, is this the gentleman?
Yes, that is
So we
correct.
should have known better.
Yes.
And you know, like we're saying, if we do it for him, other people are gonna hear about it. And if we don't do it for them, they're gonna be like, oh, well, you did it for him, special treatment because he used to be a code compliance officer. So why can't I have that?
Yeah, I know, I mean, and these are, because we have, I believe Hector has brought one to our attention on another address where they literally almost built right on our right of way,
To the curb.
near, what is it, a water line or gal?
No, it's a canopy, it's a carport.
It's a carport, but what's running across?
It's all the way to the curb, from the house, from the
If the
front door to the
property-
curb.
If the property is still in violation, you can still issue the citation, just for example, to date, even if that hasn't occurred.
Right.
But that would take care of the violation itself. I think what they're trying to address is, correcting the procedure and then establishing something moving forward.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, part of that is they're asking for, okay,
Variance.
after the fact, again, part of that is, they're asking, but as far as the actual issuance of the citation to that end, I mean, the city attorney would know better than I would, but the citation could still be issued. I mean,
If the property's in violation today, then an officer can issue a citation today, regardless if they're asking for a variance or not. If you do grant the variance, however, then they're no longer in violation, just to point that out.
And that's why they asked for the variance to be considered, because they are non-compliant. Obviously, they don't meet our, front setbacks of 25 feet. So, they came in and we do provide that, avenue for when someone is asking, but it's usually before it's built. We review site plans, we meet with the homeowners, and we'll discuss site plans and explain to them why they need to have the setbacks, and we really have, earlier you heard me say a lot of our, fees that have been coming in as part is enforcement, but the other part is because we are working and being transparent and meeting with the homeowners and sitting down with them.
So can they decide it and then come back and put it back on the?
No,
You can't.
are you asking, can they come back and build it again?
No, legal, I'm asking legal. Can we cite them and then bring it back and
You can table
put
this
it
item
on the
to,
agenda?
proceed.
Yeah, that would be possible.
Would there, I don't know, the only thing I was gonna ask is because would we have to issue another
Judges.
notice of another public hearing? I don't know.
Yes, you would have to do it all again.
They'd have to go through the whole process of a
We'd
public
have to.
hearing if that's what y'all wanna do, but.
For efficiency purposes, the decision is y'all's, but I think it is a good recommendation to amend the ordinance and then kind of establish that procedure a little bit more, including that fee schedule. It seems like the ordinance procedure or the potential amendment would already include that kind of compliance dismissal time period where they send out a notice and then it gives the property owner an opportunity to comply with the notice before they're issued a citation. And it looks like this property owner did comply within that time frame either way. So I mean, unfortunately, they didn't ask for a variance, and there's a different issue with regards to the building, but they did comply with requesting the permit within the time
Do you have
period.
a comment?
Yes, in regards to Councilman Arroyo's concern regarding, people that go out and do something, don't get it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Ganos Commission, correct?
Yes.
So technically, he could go by now, cite them, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Martinez, they could probably be a special compliance
Right.
dismissal fee, right? That would make people comply. So we kind of give them the same thing as dogs running at large, no vaccination. Hey, you go get it taken care of, you come before the court, you're not gonna pay the full fine amount, but you're still gonna pay a special compliance fee. So that would encourage them to, hey, I gotta go get that because, now the city is citing people for it.
What Ms. Moran is suggesting is basically allowing for the ordinance to read, if you don't have a permit and you've already done something, based on, we're allowed to charge you double for the permit fee. So we're not gonna, in essence, maybe issue a citation, but as part of the permit fee, you're gonna pay.
Like a penalty fee.
You're gonna pay 50, instead of $50, you're paying $100 or whatever the dollar amount is. And to the judge's point, the compliance fee is just that, is in this case, it would be something where they pay $25 fee and, don't do it again type of thing. So there's a lot of avenues that you could explore here, but that's part of the, going back, if we wanted to go back and make it a little more stern, if we give somebody the opportunity to charge them double for a permit, that hurts a lot more, and I'll say this, than somebody issuing a citation. That's just so you guys will know that.
Yeah, because, if the objective is, the act has already been done. So either you ask them to remove it and be compliant, or you can serve them a citation, but the carport will stay. So
I
that's
think,
where the permit process comes in. Okay, you did this, either ask for a variance so that we can bring it before P and Z and council, and you can not grant the variance and ask them to remove it. Or grant the
Council,
variance.
I think the thing that we could recognize here is that there's been great strides made in this whole process. And then I think the word's getting out. And so we've got some violations. Certainly, I understand what's at stake here. And I agree that we ought to probably do something to put a little bit of a pinch on that. But I would think at this point to ask them to remove that would be a pretty hard pinch for us to do in this particular case. Understand the comment is that, that they, particularly he should have known a little better. But the word is definitely getting around that don't do this without getting your permit in place first. And I think people are starting to feel it. I can tell because I'm getting a lot of calls, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So anyway, I would just consider that. We've got a motion, we've got a second. We want to move forward, instruct us what to do accordingly.
You have on page 3, section F, where I've listed in my findings report what you can take into consideration to help you decide whether to grant this variance or deny the variance. And I've highlighted those 1 through 4, and I've highlighted in bold those I think you can take into consideration whether or not the variance would be detrimental to the public's welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in that neighborhood. You can also, the strict application of the variance, the provisions of this chapter, which is our zoning chapter, would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of his land or his building. You can take that into consideration if you want to do favorable. Also, you can consider whether or not it would result in an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and whether it's inconsistent with the general provisions and intent of our zoning chapter. So, whatever decision is made, we'd like to have it within those findings, so we can, for the record. And one of the things that we learned in one of our workshops is that it's important to state our findings in case the city would get sued. We have on record what the findings were, where we denied or approved something.
Okay, so let's say we grant this, right, we say, okay. Okay, no harm, no foul, damage is done, we already did it, okay. Now, a year or so goes by, everybody knows what happened, okay? Somebody else comes and does this, and we try saying, okay, you're out of compliance,